Hey there guys, in this video we're going to be going to the Dark Medusa. I'm going to be doing a more explained clear that goes over the mechanics and gives you some team ideas. So for this one, we're not going to go extremely budget because for this one I want to mix it up a little bit and we're going to be doing an all mission clear at the same time. Meaning we're going to be using Gathering and Blessing of the Crystals on the entire party. And that's a really narrow list of units that have both Gathering and Blessing of the Crystals, but there is enough to build a team to get this cleared with all the categories. If you're going for a more budget run, I'll explain more in a moment. But for this one, we're going to grab a Richt friend. He's both categories. And the nice thing about Richt is he, by default, has maxed out Demon Killer. So any Richt you find, as long as they're wearing gear, he is going to be maximum Demon Killer. Just make sure you don't grab a Richt like this one that is missing gear slots, no Esper, no Vision card, that kind of stuff. As long as they've got gear on, the Richt friend is perfect. And this is the party we're going to use. As you can see right here, this is a list of all the Blessing and Gathering categories. Now, I might have units that I don't own, but of the ones that I personally own, this is the entire list. So obviously, as you can see, it's a really tiny list. But we can make a whole team out of that list. So Richt, obviously, going to deal all the damage. He is wonderful for this fight. We're going to use Wilk, honestly, just to give a 90% defense break, so we kill it easier. We're going to use Lena just for a turn 1 88% break, so we take less damage. That's the only reason she's here, because we don't even really need her. Richt could break, but Lena's going to break better. Creole is here just to give mitigation on turn 1. That's basically it. Fina is going to be doing light support, and Rick's going to be doing all the damage. Let's get in here and give it a go. Now, I will say, well, first of all, the boss is a demon, and the boss is actually weak to ice, lightning, water, and earth element. He's not actually weak to light element, but we're going to use light anyway because Richt. But if you're not using Richt, you might want to go with either ice, lightning, water, or earth, because you'll deal more damage. As we can see right here, well, unfortunately, because we've got a breaker on the party, they automatically imperil the boss to everything by 80%. But as you can see, those 4 resistances are lower than the rest. Anyway, so what we're going to do, so during the ambush, the boss put up a imperil to stone that we cannot remove. Also, the boss put up fields on both sides, an amplify field for the boss's side, and then imperil field for our side. Now, you could ignore the fields or remove them. Obviously, removing them is better. We're going to ignore the boss's amplify field because we're not bringing an imperil field. But we're going to remove our side of the fields with Fina using the Behemoth field. That way, we're not quite as imperiled. Now, we're going to use Lena to just use her shifted LB on turn 1. Now, we're going to use Creole to just do Shelga +3 on turn 1. That's going to reduce the damage we take by a dramatic amount. That'll be a 75% damage reduction, then a 50% from the general mitigation. So a grand total of like 87% damage reduction for doing that. So, you know, we're taking like 6 times less damage. You might be able to survive without that. I didn't test it, but that's what Creole is for. And now we're going to deal some damage. So Wilk is going to do his shifted Hurricane Fist just to power up his break. Rix in the base form are going to do Luminous Burst, Light from Within. This is a self 250 Demon Killer. And then Demon Mitigation with Lum Shield Demon. So other one, same thing. Luminous, Light Within, and Demon. Now this boss doesn't have any thresholds, so we're going to go ahead and just deal as much damage as we can on every single turn and just work the boss down. Now, as far as what the boss herself is going to do, she's going to be doing some wind and water single target damage as well as AoE damage. And all of the damage in this fight is magical. There's no physical damage whatsoever. The boss will also be doing some AoE non-elemental damage. It's not that strong, especially with a Shelga +3. Now, if you don't have Creo to do Shelga +3 on turn 1, you could just use like Fina's Shell and all that on turn 1 and remove the fields next turn, because Fina does have Shell +2, which is probably good enough. The boss is also going to do a single target, very powerful mana drain, and a single target charm. Now, we're passive provoking with Lena. She's mostly naked, other than some Esper Gauge fill gear. So she's probably going to die, honestly. I don't care. She served her purpose. She was only here for the 88 breaks on turn 1. She can now die. Don't care in the least. She'll also absorb that mana drain for us. And the rest of the party will go ahead and chain it up and just deal a little bit of damage. Not much. You know, we'll do. Okay, not much at all. We're going to do more damage in a moment. That was a setup turn. Okay, so here's the attacks. As you can see, we took something like 1,100 damage on Wilk and all that. If we had no mitigation, we would have taken like 7,000 damage. It would have still been completely fine. It looks like Lena survived, which is hilarious. Or did she? Yeah, she survived. Whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter. There she is. She's charmed. I didn't give her charm immunity because I don't care. There it is. Anyway, now Fina is going to do triple. We're going to do Amplify Light on Wilk. We're going to do Brilliant Veil. And the last action really doesn't matter. We can just do a barrier because why not? Wilk is now going to do his 90% break. Richt is going to shift. Nope, no he's not. No he's not. He's going to stay in the base form. Richt is now going to do, in this order, just so we can have the chain built before we do in the hard hit. We're going to do Demon, his 150 amp, and then Demon. And the friend going to do the same thing. So Demon, Hope and Trusted, and Demon. And we'll chain all three of these together. Make sure you click Wilk first. Don't use Creel just yet. And this will deal, you know, a little bit of damage. I say a little bit. It did 40%. Obviously, we're going to hugely overkill with the LB next turn, but that was pretty good. So what the boss is going to do on this turn is a bunch more attacks. You know, magical damage. It's not that powerful, especially with the Shelga going on. But then the boss is going to do an AoE Petrify. Now, if you don't have a Petrify immunity buff and immunity from gear, there's a chance that you could have your units petrified, and we don't want that for obvious reasons. The cool thing is the Petrify can be sealed. So we're going to use either a Nethicite or the permanent Ashes STMR to seal the boss's Petrify. You only need one cast. The boss is also going to do breaks on us. We have no way to deal with it in this clear. We don't care. We're just going to get broken. Whatever. But we sealed the Petrify. So there's some damage. Lena finally eats it. We don't care. She re-raised because of Fina. Whatever. It doesn't matter. So now we're going to kill the boss. So not much more to it. We're going to use Fina's SLB. You don't technically need that, but it's a bigger stat buff if you do have an EX3 Fina. Wilk can't do anything in this form. So we'll go to the base form, and we'll just Bolting Strike with him 3 times to chain it up. Creel has nothing to do, so she'll just jump in here with a Blue Wave. And then Richt is going to use his Shifted LB. So shift here, other Richt, shift here. And Lena, I assumed, was going to be dead. She re-raised. She'll just sit here. Now, here's the catch. If you are not killing the boss by turn 3, on his turn 3, he's going to start doing a lot of non-elemental powerful AoE magic, as well as replace the field and all that kind of stuff. So if you can't kill by turn 3, you're going to want to add a tank. Honestly, you might not even need it, especially if you've got Creel with Shell +3. You might be fine just taking the damage to the face. I didn't test it, I can't say. But there is no magical tank that crosses over Gathering and Blessing. If you have to bring a tank to survive beyond turn 3, you're going to want to do 2 separate clears. The tank for Gathering would be Ash. The tank for Blessing would be Eternal Radiance Elena. There might be more of them, but those are just 2 of the real quick and easy tanks. Anyway, we're going to just go ahead and kill the boss right here. So let's go ahead and burst and get it done. So there it is. And then Rick's big final hit at the end. The boss is dead. So that's a pretty simple turn 3 that got all the missions at the same time. Now as far as gear, Lena in the base form, honestly, whatever. Shift form is passive provoke and a lot of Esper fill, you know, and then just a whatever card. Esper fill, so we can do Fina's Esper on turn 1. Fina is also passive provoke, lower in the party than what's her name? Than Lena. That's just in case Lena dies very, very quickly. Then the follow-up hits will go to Fina. She's not going to die from the follow-up hits because the big in peril will have already gone on Lena. Other than that, we gave her her own card. It's not necessary, honestly. But yeah, her gear is not super important. And we did give her some way too much water and wind resist, but there it is. Creel, we gave her Sword of Kings to seal the boss. Other than that, Blue Wave, the support chain, I mean, she's just here for one reason and one reason only, Shell +3 to make survival very, very easy. Wilk in the base form was apparently naked. Whoops. And then shift form is right here. You know, he also, if you're using the fist build, he also has maxed out Demon Killer by default. I can't believe the base form was naked. Whoopsie. Oh well. Richt right here, both forms is pure damage. He gears for Demon Killer, super easy. So there it is. And then Friend Richt, same thing. He's geared for Insect Killer, probably for the Wicked Queen trial, but it doesn't matter. He's maxed on Demon Killer, and there it is. So on the burst turn, we did 5.59 billion. So we did 2.3 and then 5.9, something like 7.5 billion over 3 turns. So there it is. If your Wilk is not quite as strong, it should be fine. Anyway, just real quick, the damage breakdown. Yeah, so Wilk was naked in the base form. My mistake. Anyway, there it is. There's the clear. All missions. And again, if you have to go beyond turn 3, do it twice. Do a Gathering exclusive and then a the other one exclusive. Crystal exclusive. You know, Elena can tank for crystals. Ash can tank for Gathering. Okay. See you in a bit.